Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You are tuned into Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports Radio Station KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Audible, Amazon Music, iTunes, TuneIn, Tiki Live, Rumble, and more. And why so many places? Because I want to maximize my splatter zone for more hope and happiness, because I'm on a mission, a happy 88 mission, 88 million more happy people in the next 8 years. And so this is one of my platforms. And therefore, the show is about hope and happiness, no gossip, no scandal, no K words, no Kanye talk at all. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. Now, why 88 and not 100% of the time? Because if you're 100% happy, you're dead. Don't want dead people walking or talking, because we need the contrast. So when we are unhappy, we know how to get back to happy. And that's what I give you, hopefully, is tools on this show, and balance out the bad news with some good news so that you're not, I understand this is called doom scrolling. It's a new term that I learned yesterday. And if you're waking up in the morning and doing this, I call it quicksand olds instead of news. It's old stuff. It's all negative, and it will bring you down. And it takes you like an hour to get back to your life because you just get sucked in. So instead of that, I want you to focus on what's good. So that's why we start almost every show with breakfast with Dr. Marissa. Consists of a gratitude sandwich. Take a bite of my gratitude sandwich, and that means you start with 8 specific gratitudes in the morning when you wake up. If you're too tempted by your device, you plug it into another room so that when you're sitting up, when you wake up, don't hit snooze. You have just a minute to yourself. And just breathe in with the nose and release. Soft shoulders, soft elbows, soft knees. Another deep breath in. And releasing the stories and the drama. And last, in connecting with me through Chi eternal energy, the breath of life that connects us all. No beginning, no end. Really, there's no such thing as death. It's just a transition that takes you to the place where we came from. And those 3 breaths, that's my Dr. Marissa 3 breath technology that unites yourself, body, mind, spirit, physical and mental, emotional, and spiritual, so that you can start your day in the most positive way. And followed by gratitude sandwich. I have not been able to get Polly to do gratitudes like I get Sam to do yet, but I put him on morning today. I'm going to give him another 28 days, and then I'm going to make him do some gratitudes. Poor guy is my sound engineer. And I am grateful for, I'll start with that to make you feel guilty, Sam. I'm Polly. I'm grateful for having a live sound engineer so I can come at you live while you're driving to work or wherever you're going at 8 a.m. in the morning. I'm grateful that you guys have made me the #1 8 a.m. talk news show. I'm grateful that I have a washer and dryer in my place that I can use when I clean up. I'm grateful that I have a plethora of selections of clothes that I love to use to express my creativity. I'm grateful that I made it back safe without accident or a speeding ticket, which is usually the scarier part. back down from San Francisco. I'm grateful that my broken toes are healing slowly but surely. 7, I'm grateful that I now have both daughters out of college and out into the world of work. And I'm really grateful for the kind things that Sarah's professor said about her when she got the Departmental Outstanding Performance Commendation. So that was pretty easy. That took what, maybe 2 minutes. So hopefully you will adopt this discipline that I start my day with you. And you can turn to the person beside you and give those gratitudes for yourself. Dr. Wayne Dyer, the beloved teacher that is on the other side, he used to say 5. I say 8 because it's a lucky number in Chinese. It's a homophone for good fortune. So that's why we do that. Okay, so, and then when you come back at night, this is the bottom of the bun. And the bottom of the bun is appreciations of who you are. So if you're tuned in for the first time and you're not very well versed on what you're good at, I'm not surprised. We grow up when we're really young and we say, look at me, look at me, look at me. It's good. And then at a certain age, you're told don't stand out too much, especially if you're Chinese. There's a saying in Chinese and Japanese, the nail that stands up is hammered down. So I learned not to say anything, not to speak up, not to make a spectacle of myself. I can tell you right now that after 9 years on this show, I'm definitely disappointing my Chinese heritage because I'm doing everything opposite to what I was taught. So learning how to approve of yourself has been frowned upon if you grew up in that generation where you don't toot your own horn, especially women. And it leads to the unintended consequence of you not feeling good about yourself unless someone is telling you how good you are. So we have a generation of people very disappointed, very angry at work because they don't get appreciated. At home, you don't get appreciated. I can remember an instance with my husband. That's, yes, my ex, but I call it husband so that I'm not angry when I say the word. Ex sounds so angry. But my husband, I would put on a new dress and I would say, wait for him to compliment me, and he wouldn't. And so then I had to say, so do you like this? Do I look nice? How does this look? And he would say, yeah, it looks nice. And I'd be mad because he didn't come up with that without me prompting him. That doesn't count because I had to ask you. So he's, he can't win. So that is a great example of how it would make us happier 88% of the time if we learned how to approve of ourselves. So that means at the end of the night, before you go to bed, instead of thinking about all the things you did wrong or all the things you didn't get done, instead, I'm asking you to actually find things that you can say, good job. You did good. You did good. You finished this. You finished that. Instead of, oh, you forgot this or you didn't finish that or you shouldn't have done that. So give yourself, work that muscle of appreciation so that you know without anybody telling you how good you are. Now, not that you're God's gift to women or men or whatever, that extreme is, but there's really a middle between I'm a piece of shiitake on this end and I'm really great shiitake. I'm hot shiitake on the other end. The balance is I'm pretty good shiitake. I'm 88% fabulous. 12% of the time I step in it. It's not great, but 88% of the time I'm good. So that's the appreciation logic behind the bottom of the bun. So I appreciate that I am disciplined, that I do things even though I don't feel like it, so that I can get the results that I'm looking for. I appreciate that I can, after a moment, see my side of the street and clean it up. I appreciate that I'm caring. 88% of the time, I appreciate that I'm loving. 88% of the time, I appreciate that I know that I need to cry sometimes to release that negative energy, and I don't apologize for it. I recognize, I appreciate that I know that I'm not perfect, which is took me a long time. I always wanted to be perfect, because for me, growing up in a home where there was trauma, being perfect was the only way you'd get love. So if this sounds familiar to you, this is a great exercise in releasing those things that we don't do. And there's actually a great exercise, 2 of them, that I'm going to refer to today for the Asian Oprah giveaway, is an audiobook copy of 8 Ways to Happiness from Wherever You Are, my #1 bestseller. And the 2 tools are bake your own cake. So compliments and criticisms are the icing on your cake, but you and you alone bake your cake. So you are the boss of you. And then the other one is the insulting game. So if you have been insulted in your life, maybe a lot when you were young, if you're one of the 7 out of 10 of us who grew up with childhood trauma, then you have a list of things that circle in your head about what's wrong with you. Who do you think you are? You've let yourself go if you've gained weight. That's one of mine. You're not all that. That was mailed to me after the Seal Beach Salon shooting, when I was in the news a lot. You're fat, you're ugly, you're clumsy. These are all things that were insulting. And I now have a collection of these things that I try not to think about. So instead of trying to push them down, I actually ask you in one of the chapters to write down all of the negative things that have ever been said about you. And that way you acknowledge it, you don't own it, but you don't marinate in it. And that Happy 88 tool has been a lifesaver for me and a lot of my happiness coaching clients. So if you're the first person to go to drmarissa.life and put in Asian Oprah giveaway, you'll get a code to download that free audiobook. All right. So today's show, what are we going to do? We're celebrating Gay Pride Month, the month of June. And then we're going to transition next week and start celebrating Juneteenth. So this is the show. Actually, it's the pre-show. Tomorrow, I'm so delighted that I'm going to be having back a guest who was about a year ago, I think. This is before the Oscars. He was in the film Through the Eyes of Tammy Faye, I believe is the title. His name is Steve Bierdz, and he's going to be a repeat guest. He's coming on live tomorrow morning to celebrate Gay Pride Month with me and fill me in on all the exciting things that have happened in this last year with the Oscars. And Jessica Chastain was his leading lady in that film, and all the wonderful things that he's experienced. So that's tomorrow live. So today I thought, instead of, so that normally Thursday is my caller compliment and commercial. So we're just flipping it. So Wednesday is that, so we can have him as a guest tomorrow. And then Friday, I'm so delighted also to warn you and invite you to a great live show we're going to have with a youngin' that I met on the red carpet at the St. Joseph's 45-year anniversary fundraiser. It was a great night. The Temptations were the headliners, and I, with the Agape International Choir, were the opening act for that amazing fundraiser. St. Joseph's does incredible work with the homeless. So if you want to support, if you want to do something more than shaking your head about how many homeless are out there, then please do go and support St. Joseph's Center. But on the red carpet, I accidentally, hashtag, which is not accidentally, asked for a soundbite from a youngin', And turns out he is the grandson of the founder of the Temptations, Otis Williams. His name is Trace Austin. And so I'm so delighted he's going to be my live guest on Friday morning. So we've got a really great interactive rest of the week for you. Starting today, just introducing some of the things that concepts and ways that we can be part of the solution to the hatred that is leveled in a lot of our country against LGBTQ and plus, that we can do something about. And so when we come back from break, I'm going to start with an on location hashtag Dr. Mercer reporting live report that I did yesterday from Manhattan Beach. And then we'll go to some footage from my interviews with Tom Bierdz, and if we have time, with Steve the last time he was here. All right, so we'll be right back. Don't go away on Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show. See you in 2 and 2 on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind. To the world was exploring the world. What if the question, what do you want to be when you grow up, little girl, turns into how many streets of life you want to explore? What if the purpose of life is not to die with the most toys to leave our squabbling relatives? What if the purpose of life was to do things that we enjoy most of the time? Have relationships that we enjoy most of the time, and use our unique talents, gifts, and abilities to fully express in the dash between birth and death. What if, as a direct result of this horrible pandemic, we could rise out of the ashes with a new PPP, post-pandemic possibilities? The sooner you turn, it's impossible, to I'm possible, the what ifs become possible too. Because you are loving, lovable, and loved, wrapped in a warm blanket of worthiness. But it may start with getting out of bed and making it. What if starts with
Want delicious Vietnamese Asian fusion cuisine that is so good for your health you won't believe your taste buds? Olac is a 100% plant-based vegan restaurant founded by Mai on living foods and a love for animals that won't make you sacrifice taste for health. 2 locations to delight you, downtown LA and Fountain Valley. So go to www.olac.com, AULAC, to book your reservation today. Saving the planet has never tasted so good.
get the
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And we're back. You're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News Radio, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and my YouTube channel, which streams, and you can chat there and comment as well as on my Facebook. Thanks to coming out of that pandemic and being able to widen the audience, and again, live shows most mornings here on my show. And we're talking about what does Gay Pride Month mean to you? And there's answers to that from the mayor of Manhattan Beach. I was there yesterday. They were unveiling a beautiful crosswalk. So take a listen.
Of our rainbow crosswalk down at the Strand and Manhattan Beach Boulevard in Manhattan Beach. I want to recognize some of my colleagues who are here. So I'm going to move right on to our Manhattan Beach Unified School Board member, Sally Peel. Come on up, Sally.
And I want to talk briefly about why this rainbow crosswalk can be part of a strategy to save children's lives. I grew up in a small city in a conservative state. I was in the dark about LGBTQ issues. When I was a teenager, I had never heard the phrase non-binary. I didn't understand what transgender meant. Most of the queer identities that I understand now were unknown to me. I didn't know a single kid who was gay. But that's not true. I just didn't know anyone who was out. I don't think that a queer teenager would have found acceptance or validation anywhere in my town 30 years ago. We were in the dark. We were ignorant. What I know now is that, of course, I had LGBTQ friends. They just weren't out. One of those kids was a friend of mine from the time I was 3 years old. He died by suicide when we were in high school. It wasn't until much later that I understood some of the reasons why he may have thought that was his best option. I didn't help him because I didn't know. Ignorance is darkness, and it holds us back. Since then, people who did know have spoken up. They've spoken out, and they've started making things happen. And I have learned a lot. I have learned that LGBTQ youth are more than 4 times as likely to attempt suicide than their peers. 4 times. Does this crosswalk have the power to change that? No. Well, but we do, right? Yes. You, all of you who came here today, the people who show up to make it happen, the people who care about what LGBTQ youth are experiencing, that's where the power comes from. Everyone involved in making this crosswalk happen, you are making a difference. Result of light. This is a message that we are an accepting community. It is possible that a child will see it and feel good about the place where they live and know that their community welcomes them. This crosswalk is also a reminder to us that we need to know, we need to understand. If you don't know much about LGBTQ issues, like I didn't 30 years ago, it is your responsibility to learn more about it. Go to the Trevor Project online and read, and then read some more, and then ask your friends. It is all of our responsibility to be the change makers, and this rainbow crosswalk is here to remind us of that. I thank you for your love that you share in our community. I personally am very grateful that the darkness of ignorance doesn't have to exist anymore. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally, and we always appreciate the support we have from the school district and, of course, the involvement. This does mean a lot.
All right. And good afternoon. This is Dr. Marissa. You know me as the Asian Oprah. I'm here in Manhattan Beach. Hashtag Dr. Marissa reporting live with good news. As usual, I want to balance out all the bloody, if it bleeds, it leads news. And I'm so happy today I got called to come to Manhattan Beach. And I have the man who's behind the whole thing, that if you can see behind us is a beautiful rainbow crosswalk in the middle of Manhattan Beach. So if you could introduce yourself. I have not an answering machine, I have a questioning machine. Sure. When you call me, it says, who are you and what do you want? So, who are you and what do you want?
Fantastic. I'm Joe Marcy. I'm on the Culture Arts Commission. I'm also president of the Manhattan Beach Hometown Fair. I grew up in this community, and it's been a 2-year process, but we finally have a rainbow crosswalk.
Yeah, I can imagine. What was the initial reaction?
You know what? There's surprisingly a lot more support than people thought. There is an LGBT community here, and just seeing all of the love come through and all the support for the project and the community community has been fantastic.
That's it. When I first got the call to come to Manhattan Beach for an unveiling of a rainbow crosswalk, I was shocked because the perception is, like you said, that it's predominantly, majority mainstream. So I'm very happy. I had a place in Hermosa for a while, so that's why I know this area. So now you share a little bit about your own experience growing up here?
I did. I grew up here. I went through the school system. I went Pacific, Maricosta. I was very active. I was in choir and student council. And, it's hard being a kid growing up in any circumstance. And I spoke a little bit about that. But really, this has been a community that has embraced who I am. And, it really comes full circle, too.
You never felt ostracized?
I think we all do. It's only natural. I can't say, I was excluded from being bullied or any of the toxicity, but that's part of growing up too. And in our community, there was actually a lot more support that helped me kind of get through that.
Perfect. So, any advice to someone who's not feeling very supported where they are, if they're growing up in some other areas that are openly anti? What's your advice to them?
It's a great question. There's support everywhere, and as long as you're open to asking for help, then the help is there. So you never should feel alone. It's a different time. For me growing up, it was a very different circumstance. There are so many resources now where really nobody should ever feel alone. Yeah. And walking this beautiful rainbow crosswalk, I hope that's a reminder of that.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. I do this at the end of every show. Peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace.
Very nice.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
About myself. It was the happiest and hardest time, but with loving parents, family, and friends, I grew up believing that anything was possible. 20 years ago, I was honored with scholarships and awards at Maricosta's Senior Recognition Night.
I was told to talk about what this rainbow crosswalk means to Manhattan Beach. The LGBTQ community, you're right. For those who think this rainbow crosswalk is a symbol of inclusivity, that says Manhattan Beach is a welcoming, loving community, no matter what your gender, color, or creed, you're right. For those who think rainbows are a promise from God, you're right. For those who think rainbows are neat and it's pretty cool to see a crosswalk in pretty colors, you're right too. The point is that the rainbow, and this rainbow, connects all these things. And if you haven't figured out where I'm going by now, you should. Because in the immortal words of Kermit the Frog, it is the rainbow. What we wish here in Manhattan Beach is that the rainbow connection finds all of you, the lovers, the dreamers, because this is something for all of us. It means Manhattan Beach is a welcoming, loving community, and everybody here has their place. And everybody here is going to be respected and recognized and acknowledged for who they are, not for whatever they are, but who they are, the people. So that's what Manhattan Beach is about. That's what you're about for being here. And we want to thank you for being here. And now we're going to cut this ribbon. Look at the camera. 1, 2, 3.
And I hope you enjoyed that coverage. I want people today to personalize this month. It's celebrating gay pride and inclusivity and valuing of diversity. And we're very fortunate to live in California, where there's probably the most open, accepting, valuing. Unfortunately, this does not happen across our nation. And what can we do to help with that? The school board president, I believe she was, a great speech. The Trevor Project is somewhere where you can go to get more information. So there's plenty of things that we can do to begin to value that diversity. And if we can't, it's going to be a pretty sad and dark day for America, as we are discovering that with George Floyd and all of the names before that, as well as Asian hate crimes, as well as crimes against the LGBTQ plus community, that we're not a very tolerant country. We do not practice, that all of our our credos, our mottos, the EEO equal, we don't practice that. And the level of hatred now, more than ever, at least since I chose to become an American after 9/11, I was born in Canada, and I don't know about you, but if I skim through social media, if I skim through the news, hatred and intolerance and anger and defense and justification and blame and shame are the headlines. And it's the only people that are going to change us is us, we the people. So that's why I bring you the good news in positive places that are making an effort to be vocal and to be demonstrative in terms of valuing of all diversity. So that's why I showed that. We're going to be right back. And when we do, I'm going to give you a taste of the interview that I did with those of you, anybody watch Young and the Restless? I did when I was in college, and he was a longtime actor there. And I'm going to bring you a bit of his interview. And I'm going to contact him too to see if he wants to come back. But I thought it was a good celebration and talking about coming out. All right. So we'll be right back here on Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Well, she has been dubbed the Asian Oprah, and she just wants all of us to be happy.
Dr. Marissa, aka the Asian Oprah, says the most important thing you can choose is choosing to be happy.
You are tuned into my weekly talk radio TV show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa.
That's the idea for Dr. Marissa Pay's new book called 8 Ways to Be Happy.
Many of us say, I am my own worst critic. Nobody's harder on me than I am. And my response to that is, stop it! Why are you doing that to yourself? You have to be your biggest fan, because if you can't at the end of the day say, I did a good job, who is? We don't have to constantly be angry at the things that are wrong. Why don't we choose to be happy about things that are right? We have the choice. That's our muscle. And life is so amazing if we can see it.
Perfect.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And we're back. You're tuned into Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News Radio, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere, including my YouTube channel, where if you free subscribe, you can get an alert for every new show that drops. Today's 718 shows over 9 years. So grateful for that. And you'll also get access to my red carpet interviews and backstage interviews, including my one with the Temptations last weekend, or maybe it was a weekend before, as well as my interviews with Lieutenant Uhura, Melissa Etheridge, Halle Berry, John Travolta, and a whole host more. And we are celebrating Gay Pride Month. If you are tuned in and want to answer the question of the day, which is, what does Gay Pride Month mean to you? We heard from the mayor of Manhattan Beach what it means to him, as well as my mini interview with Joe Marcy, and it was lovely to meet him. And now we're going to just spend a minute looking at my interview with Thomas Bierdz. He came on to talk about his book, Young, Gay, and Restless, and he was the very loved actor on Young and the Restless. So we're going to hear a little bit from him. Enjoy.
We are following up that great show with another great guest today. You may recognize him, especially if you, like me, watched The Young and the Restless, one of my favorite college time soap operas. He's an award-winning actor, best known for his portrayal of the legacy character Philip Chancellor III on the daytime drama The Young and the Restless. Thomas Bierdz is a filmmaker, a writer, and a fine artist, and he's releasing his newest book, The Young and the Gay and Restless, this week. So please welcome to the studio, Thomas Bierdz. Hello.
Hey, Melissa, how you doing?
I am happy and grateful. So glad to have you with me. Peace and peace out to Harlan for another great guest that he keeps supplying me with. And you, my sir, have such doing the research, I was like, really? Could anything else happen to you? So let's start with, I think for me, the most fascinating is you are a hunk. You're a hunk on the show. You were the heartthrob of so many people, and yet you say that you were looking for love in all of the wrong places. So let's start with that one.
Well, all right. I mean, I'm just going to freeform thoughts here.
Yes, please.
I grew up in Kenosha, Wisconsin, Midwest, Catholic. I knew I was gay very early. And that was not appreciated back then.
I bet.
A long time ago, there was a lot of shaming. And so, of course, I grew up thinking that I was bad, very bad. But I came out at 18 after writing a letter to God, saying, God, I'm going to be an important gay man. Gay's bad, kill me in my sleep. And I woke up and I thought, oh, okay. God didn't kill me, so I'm okay. And then I started bartending in gay bars in Milwaukee when I was 19. I was a drinking age then. I saved money and I moved to Hollywood at 21. At 24, I got The Young and the Restless, playing the part of Philip Chancellor. And all of a sudden, I went from this shy kid to on stage with thousands of girls screaming for me. And they said, you got a boyfriend? Do you have a girlfriend? I said, no. I didn't say I had a boyfriend. You know, I was just trying to avoid the question.
Yeah.
Have integrity, but essentially I couldn't. And it took me till 2009 when I came back on the soap opera, making history as the first gay actor hired in a principal role in a soap opera. I'm looking at my dog here. That I was able to make a huge arc. You know, and finally come out and say, it doesn't matter if you understand and get my sexuality. I'm here. And I'm doing something that I think is important.
Yes.
I don't think that answered your question.
No, it did. Because my follow-up question was, tell me how it all started. So you just read my mind, because that's usually the first question I ask. So it came from an early, I'm not okay. It came from an early, I'm not good enough, which is a very common for anyone that is not mainstream, right? There's something.
I'm not sure that, because I was 6 years old watching TV thinking, oh, I want to be that. However, I didn't want to be an actor. I wanted to be a movie star. So yes, I think there was some overcompensation I was looking for.
Okay, right. Because you've had some plastic. I'm sorry?
What kind of doctor are you?
I'm not an MD. I'm a PhD.
Okay.
So in organizational psychology. So you know what PhD stands for, right?
Excellent.
Yeah, it's piled higher and deeper. So it really doesn't mean anything. So okay. So in fact, when you were bartending, you almost became a victim of Jeffrey Dahmer.
Could have happened. I was bartending at Club 219 in my cowboy hat with a little mustache, 19 years old. And that's one of the places Jeffrey Dahmer would frequent and find victims and kill them. I think he killed 17 young men.
Yeah.
And at one point, my lover was this big, masculine, hairy dude that worked the basement bar. And a psychic voice said to him, "There's a serial killer in your presence." And he looked around, and it was just his customer, Jeffrey. It didn't dawn on him until years later when he saw the news that, oh my God, the voice told him that the serial killer was right there.
Wow.
And he was guilty about it. Well, what do you do?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that I never went home with him.
Yeah, I'm glad too. You wouldn't been here. And if you're just tuning in and you're wondering who I get to talk to today, it is Thomas Bierdz, who you will recognize as Philip Chancellor from The Young and the Restless, and he's here to talk and help.
All right. I am going to stop it there because there's one more thing I want to show you today before the show ends. That was extremely meaningful, but you can watch the rest of that very interesting interview on my YouTube channel. Free subscribe, and you can hear the rest of this incredible interview that I had with Thomas. Also, and he does answer that same question, what advice do you give to young people who aren't comfortable with coming out? And I think that's a really important question to answer right now as we continue with celebrating Gay Pride Month. Now, I did want to touch this because I'm giving him the Dr. Marissa Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award. I watched this when it came out in the news and I was so impressed. So I'm going to share this with you from a senator that is doing more than just saying what's important. He actually took a risk in that you can see now. Oh, there's no sound. Okay. Here we go. So this is Representative Ted Lieu, Democrat.
In March of this year, the Washington Post published an article titled, "GOP Lawmakers Push Historic Wave of Bills Targeting Rights of LGBTQ Teens, Children, and Their Families." In April, Washington Post published another article titled, "Some Republicans Fear Party Overreach on LGBT Measures." I just thought I would now recite for you what Jesus Christ said about homosexuality. I yield back.
At least 18 states have banned transgender students from participating. 3 states have enacted measures that ban or restrict access to some gender-conforming medical treatments. President Joe Biden recently condemned the slew of legislation. The unconscionable attacks have left countless LGBTQ plus families in fear. And that was just like, wow. I don't know about you. I was so impressed. I was so impressed with what he did there on stage, on microphone. And it's true. Jesus Christ, religion, makes a big deal in some religions that it's wrong. And I will be, if I haven't been clear enough on my views on that, I think that's bullshitaki, and that Jesus loves everyone and God loves everyone. And we are all one of a kind, wonderful and unique in our special ways. And it is hypocritical to say that you love and then you hate in the same breath. So I wanted to give Representative Ted Lieu, not just because he's Asian, Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award. All right. That is my part of what it means to me. This month means that I can use this platform to continue to encourage people to value diversity in whatever shape, color, and orientation it comes in. And that means everyone. And so I'm encouraging you, if you're listening right now and you have a tendency to be the joker in the group and you make jokes about, I had to curb myself with my lawyer jokes, with my blonde jokes, even with my Asian jokes, even though I'm an Asian, doesn't give me the right to make fun of that whole culture. I think humor, after what happened at the academies with Chris Rock, it behooves us all to find things to laugh about that do not put other people down, especially now, especially as we go through one of the most tumultuous times as Americans. So I want us to definitely be better about how we see diversity. And I'll use the example that I use as a consultant in valuing diversity in organizations. If you walk by a microwave and something smells different, the usual reaction is, oh my God, I can't believe that. You know, they need to have rules around what to put in the microwave, and, you know, you can't put this, and it's all that ethnic food, blah, blah, blah. And the difference is met with anger, disgust, blame, shame, intolerance, criticality. And so difference is less than. Now, to be fair, we grew up, we have a very sharp, when things are different, they're bad, because, you know, when we were in caveman days, if something different happened, it usually meant that someone's going to eat us or a woolly mammoth is going to trample us. So difference was not necessarily good. It was something to be alert for and be afraid of. So, you know, I understand why we think that is a way of, you know, protecting ourselves. So that's understandable. But there's no woolly mammoths around. It is now time for us to look at differences, not in the other extreme. So people who say, I can't value everybody and I can't like everything, and we can't all hold hands and sing Kumbaya. And that's true. So I'm not asking you to go to the extreme that says, oh, I love everything. I agree with everything. I want to try everything. That is not what I'm saying at all. That's the other extreme. That's the all or nothing, a Newtonian thinking, which doesn't help. I'm talking as a systems theorist that the balance is difference is not hated and difference is not loved, but difference is something that we get curious about to explore. So that's the middle, that's the balance, which I'm all about. If we can get to the point where I don't walk by and smell it and go, oh, I want to try that, when you know you don't want to try that. But you say, oh, that's different. I wonder what it is. And when we get to that place where we wonder what it is, then differences can be non-threatening. They can be explored with curiosity, and you can be magnanimous about it. You can be more tolerant of it. And that way, it's like that human library I heard of. Instead of books, they have people from different places or different orientations or different religions or different races in this human library where you can go and sit down and have a talk. I've reached out to them to see if I can get someone to introduce that, but you can just Google it and put in human library. I think it's a beautiful way of helping us move from hating differences to actually appreciating differences. And that's a skill. So if you're a person who, your only humor comes from putting people down, I would challenge you to not do that. And if you are in a group of people where someone is doing that, instead of laughing along or not saying anything, I have this sliding scale. First, you don't tell the joke, then you don't stay for the joke, and then you actually say something to the person, and it doesn't have to be confrontational. I started with saying, boy, I'm really glad that I'm not gay, when they told a gay joke because it was so demeaning, or I'm glad I'm not blonde. So you're making a comment that puts the person who's telling the joke on caution. And then you might say, I really like to surround myself with people who value diversity, and telling jokes like that are not helpful. So could you please curb that? Or, there's so many things to laugh about. There's so many ways to find joy in life, and so many ways to produce my favorite sound in the world, which is laughter, without putting people down. So, the hashtag silver lining of what happened at the Academy is that did get put in the spotlight. Hopefully that message that, there is no thing as, oh, it was just a joke. Whether your intent was to be funny, your impact is to cut people down. That's what the bottom line of humor that we face now. So hopefully, and even before Bill Cosby got in trouble, and I'm not promoting him, and what he has done is wrong. And I actually was approached to ask if I would interview him. And I said I would do a pre-interview, and depending on what came out of that pre-interview, I would decide whether or not. And then my daughters told me if I interviewed him, they would never talk to me again. So, but they also did not agree to the pre-interview. But I say that his horrific things that he violated on the Me Too side, he was a great comedian who did find humor in normal things in life without putting people down. So I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but he was a master of humor that was not cutting people down. He was totally horrific on other decisions he made in the way he saw women and how he treated them. But if we could go pre that horrific time for him to taking a lesson about humor, and that we can find joy and laughter in humor. And it's the end of the hour. Thanks so much for tuning in. Show number 718. Come back tomorrow for my interview with Steve Peters. And here on Take My Advice, I'm not using it. It's all about balance, peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. Have the best day ever.